Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to Breaking Bread. It's hosted by me, Crunk Chocolate. It's a show where we break verbal bread with a quote unquote enemy. Whenever Manchester City has an upcoming match, I will be here having a conversation with a supporter of City's upcoming opponent. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube. What's up? Hello. Subscribe if this is the first time you end up here. Like the banners saying scroll and pass right now. Please like the video. If you're watching on Twitter, retweet, like, quote tweet. Let's just bring the people in here, bring the fun. And all you Twitchers, sup. And how can I forget replay people and audio listeners, the podcasters who are listening to it tomorrow, which is today for you now Tuesday, which I'm talking about. I'm confused myself, I'm just, and honestly, I'm surprised I went this long without saying Rodri's on fire. Your defense is terrified, and Rodri's on fire. Real Madrid is melting down. I don't know. This is, but it's bro. I got people in my feed right now just melting down, like just saying he has to be the best all over player in the world. But then when someone is just like, his rating is better, and that's based off of just like play, and they're like, oh, now you're comparing positions. How are you comparing someone from a position? And it's just like, how can he be the best overall player unless we cross compare players in positions? I don't really know what it's good. I digress. We're here to talk about Carabao, which honestly, Tarek in our podcast, shout out to him, he dubbed the I Don't Care About Cup. So just gonna let you kind of know our energy, especially with dealing with everything we got going on, injuries.
Sure.
Carabao Cup is kind of low on the totem pole, but I want to win. I have been saying for years, this is the cup that, this is what City were winning early in the takeover. We ran it back for 3-4 years in a row. Like that was our baby. That was what we sharpened our teeth with. And have people forgotten about it. And so that's why I wish we just had a bigger staff, a bigger roster, just to be on camera. But now I'm sounding like an even more rich, pretentious Man City fan. So let's just get to welcoming our guest on Tottenham Depot podcast. Stand up. We got it's getting real Spurs-esque in here. I won't say what I won't say. I won't offend you.
Hey, you can say the word. We're all used to it by now. So.
It's getting Spurs-esque in here. Shady Gang, please give it up for Scott of Tottenham Depot podcast.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me. Super glad to be here. I will start by saying that if y'all do want to take the I Don't Care Cup and pass that along to Pep and the rest of the squad, we would certainly appreciate it. We probably care a little bit more about this cup than y'all do, right? Especially as we, desperately look to bring in our first trophy since 2008, which was actually the Carabao Cup, right? So we have done it, but yeah, we're gonna need all the help we can get on Wednesday, which I'm sure we'll get into, right? So we'd appreciate that.
Yes, and let's start here with something nice, something easy, something simple. What do you love about Tottenham? What's like a best attribute, history, reason? Just help us understand what there is good about Tottenham. That sounded like a slight. I didn't mean it.
And there's not much. No, I'll tell you what. It's for me. It's 100% the people. My Spurs community is not my closest group of friends, and the people mean the world to me. I do have a good buddy over in London. Shout out to Shivan, who always says, my trophies are the friends I've made along the way, and someday we'll win some trophies, and maybe that trope will taper off. But all jokes aside, it's the people. And then I'm also somebody who really enjoys the hunt, right? It's probably self-deprecating, but to continue to think that we might get there, and we've tapered back a bit too, right? So maybe not as applicable these days, but really that hunt for something more that we get as Spurs fans, and that hope and that belief is something that, I don't know, I'm drawn to.
And I'm with you. The team, you've had your ups, you've had your closest, and if I'm going to be honest, once upon a time, before we won the Champions League, I wasn't a big fan of y'all because
I get that.
Yeah, you dealt some Champions League L's to us, you and VAR. So again, sorry, I'm getting sucked into dark spots. Get out. But we won the Champions League now, so it's in the past. It's in the past. But I love Ange. I mean, we'll get to managers later, but I do love Ange. There are a decent amount of your players that I like. There are a few players on your team that have a punchable face. And it is what it is. And I may or may not say whose faces are which's faces.
There's probably a few faces we as Spurs fans wouldn't mind punching right now either after the loss to Palace.
Oh, man. Yeah, again, that was tough. When we can even stay here for a moment, because even Ange, he was asked about it, the physicality of the match. And when I turned to it, because I started watching Man U West Ham, but that was just an awful match to watch. And then I turned after 7 minutes, and I just turned over to basically which was a WWE match. And it was almost like 12 straight minutes where a player would get knocked down, physio would come out, check him up, he'd get up, play would start, another player would get knocked down. They down. I'm just like, what is happening right now? And Ange admitted you guys got kind of sucked into that game, and he wished that the players would have stayed above that. Is that what you were kind of hoping also in the match, or were you like, fuck them up?
It's a good question. I think as Spurs fans, and I just had a conversation about this earlier today with some Spurs fans, it's really about checking our expectations a little bit as an organization right now. And obviously, again, we were super close and we stumbled and dropped the ball for sure. And we're getting back to our ways. But ultimately, I look at the squad, and while I expect a little bit more, I know we're still young. I mean, our average age has got to be in the low 20s. We had a few teenagers in the starting lineup at Palace. So, I can live with some of the learning curve from a mentality perspective, but at the same time, that kind of football does get frustrating, right? But I got to give it to Palace as well, and say that if it's going to work, it's going to work. And if I'm a manager, I'm all about getting dubs right now, especially in the sense that their manager is kind of on thin ice, if we really want to call it what it is, right? So I don't fault them at all for wanting to play that game. And honestly, Spurs have to do a better job as a squad too. Again, like you said, not get sucked into that, because we hear the word Spursy and we hear the phrase Dr. Tottenham, and sure, it can be a little bit frustrating as fans, but then I watch the squad over and over and over go into games where a win is just on the table to grab, and we don't come with the right mentality to go and grab those wins, right? And that's been our problem for a long time. So probably just another example of that is the short answer to that question.
Yeah, facts. Well, again, I'm a big fan of Ange, and if I've learned anything, a manager can talk me into liking a club if I am feeling negative about them, because Klopp's Liverpool, it was all the smoke, and Slot's Liverpool, bunch of good guys. They seem sweet,
No doubt.
Like, I've been completely brainwashed. It's amazing, especially since his quote shooting at Arsenal falling every single time. Players, they fall in the game. Like, I understand that. It just was interesting that every single time they had the ball, someone would fall. That's all I'm saying. It was crazy.
It's crazy. Hey, if they want to talk about Arsenal, I'm all for it. Just speak on.
Let's talk transfer window. You made some moves by getting a lot of that dead weight off of your team. A lot of players you just let go on free transfers. Eric Dier, 6 which you hope there's a player in him, but he, just injuries kind of hold him back.
Yeah.
In Dumbale, I don't mind him. And then Højbjerg, like, what were your thoughts on those two players? Like, what happened to that? Were you hoping that you kept either of those players?
I don't think that I was. I think with Højbjerg, it was definitely just a square peg round hole situation. He just didn't fit the way that Ange was looking to play football, and did get enough minutes last year, but it was very much just papering over the cracks and getting us to a point where we had more of that Ange depth. So it was time for him to go. And then Tonga Ndombele, honestly, I don't never want to talk poorly about somebody, but got to be one of the biggest flops that we've seen in the Premier League in some time. I mean, $65 million we paid for him. And granted, he was brought in for Pochettino, and Pochettino was sacked shortly after that. So probably some of it's stylistic, but he had plenty of opportunities to prove himself worthy of minutes in the Premier League, and went out on loan and didn't get much at Napoli the year they won the title, right? And then was on loan last year and didn't play very much at Lyon, and now finds himself at, I believe, Nice, which is probably his level. Yeah. But yeah, just a bummer, but it was definitely time for him to get out of the club.
Yeah, and brought in some young guns, and then Dominic Solanke, who's middle-aged, he's at that peak, and coming from Bournemouth, this is a chance to really see, is he a top tier type player? And first off, what are your thoughts on Solanke?
I think he's great. And I say that with regards to our system. I think he's exactly what we were looking for the Ange system. The striker needs to be able to come back and absorb some of the buildup and the creative responsibility. Got to be super technical and comfortable with the ball at their feet, which he is, and he can pick a pass as well. We really look to get our wings, whether they're wide or lately we're seeing them in more of those inside channels more often than not, which has been good for us. But Solanke has been solid at finding them as well. But the biggest thing Solanke does for us is he leads the press. The dude never stops running, and we really missed that tip of the spear when it came to our press and our counter press. And he's been really good there. So really, just an example, I think, of the club going out and looking at the way that it wanted to play and using data and analytics to bring in somebody who really fit the mold. So I was happy with that one.
Okay, like that. And Archie Gray, 40 million euros for an 18-year-old from Leeds? That's a lot of money.
It is.
That's like Starboy money. So is that what the expectations of him is?
He looks to be the real deal. He's super calm on the ball. His IQ is obviously very high. He was in the championship team of the season last year as a 17-year-old. So there's definitely a player in there, but we saw Ryan Sessegnon come up in a similar way, and maybe that didn't pan out the way we thought. So I think expectations should always be kept in check and tampered with him, but he looks to be the real deal. And like you said, $40 million, it was probably polarizing within Spurs Twitter or Spurs fandom in general, right? Because we've been screaming at the club to spend money, but you drop 40 on an 18-year-old, and then all the armchair GMs show up and they're like, that's just too much for an 18-year-old. Don't spend the money like that, right? But it's evident that we're building for the future, and we're building a project right now. And when I see us willing to spend $40 million on a teenager, it tells me we've got ambition. So I suppose I can live with that.
Yeah, you can't be like, spend the money. No, not like that.
Yeah, exactly. People are always going to be pissed off on Twitter, though. It just kind of is what it is, right?
Facts. Okay, well, cool. That's exciting. And with that, we can move to the next topic, which is the manager, and that fits my kind of where I was going to go with Ange. He is, and this is how I'm seeing how he's trying to manage, and it's going to come off rude at first, just because it is. He has to chip away that armor of Spursy. And that is what he's been doing every single week in those media scrums when the English media trying to be like, you guys suck, yeah? Spurs, right? And he has to be like, no, guys, like this is what we're doing. I understand this is how things might have been, but this is what we're trying to do now. Yes, they might have had this weak moment in that moment, but this is what we're working on. This is what I'm saying in practice. I'm seeing these things, and I'm just like, dang, bro, I love it. I love it. They tried to question him about Spurs never winning titles, and he's never won a title. And he's like, what are you talking about, bro? All I've done is win titles. Like, just because it's not in England,
like a year,
don't take away my stuff. Just love his energy. So I assume, especially with bringing in a 17, 18-year-old player that you said will be a part of a project, despite the up and down inconsistencies, you guys are still like all in on Ainge.
100%. I'm sure there are people out there who are not, right, but I think within the community that I keep or whatever, and people who I tend to really think are good level-headed fans, that the thought is that we're in this for the long run. And I think when we look at, we sacked Pochettino prematurely, without a doubt. That was a mess. And I think Pochettino probably overachieved and put himself in a situation where he was almost a product of his own, the victim of his own success, right? But we sacked him early. I think Levy said, all right, let me just go out and get Mourinho. All we need is like that serial winner to get us over the line, when we hadn't actually invested in the squad, right? And kept things fresh, and everything tumbled, as you know, any fan of Premier League football knows. So I think we really had to take a step back and say, as a club, what is our DNA? And Ange Postecoglou checks every single box when it comes to the DNA that we like to keep at Spurs. And I think it's clear when you look at the investment that was made and the average age of that investment, that Spurs have absolutely no interest in parting ways with him for quite a long time. And I look at Arsenal and their project, right? And you know, you guys still got them under your thumb. I'll never pretend otherwise, but they're good. And it took them a while to get there, right? And we even look at you guys, right? And what you've done. And, you know, people like to think City just wins and wins and wins, but it took you all a little while to get to the point where you had this stranglehold on the league, right? So, it just didn't happen. It wasn't only, you know, someone coming in and injecting money into the club. It took a lot more than that. So, and frankly, Spurs have money to spend. You know, we really can't sit here and say that we don't, because we do. And so we're starting to see, I think, all of those pieces come together and fit that recipe that we've needed for some time. So yeah, it's going to be rough for a little while. And obviously Palace was an example of that, but we'll get there.
Look at you with your public relations, like saying things. You have no idea how hard that actually hit. Like, apparently, I receive way more hate about Man City than I expected, because you said that. My whole heart was just like, oh, this is what niceness is.
Hey, man, I'm here to bring the people together. That's the deal. So.
That's crazy.
We're breaking bread.
All right. Everybody has iced my heart, apparently. What is going on? How do you feel about the Highline? Because we play a Highline as well, but yours still feels like more aggressive than ours. And there will be moments where we just have like two players, like one moment, even at moments. But like, still watching your guys' defense makes me way more afraid than watching our defense.
Dude, it's absolutely wild the way that we choose to play. I look back to Chelsea last year when we were down to 9 men and still kept that high line. And just he won't falter from his ways. So it's just super intense. And I don't think without Mickey Van de Ven, it doesn't work. You've got to have somebody that's just an absolute vacuum and a freak athlete back there. And obviously paired with Christian Romero. We're fortunate to have two of what I think are the better center backs in the league, right, as a pairing. And without them, there's no way that we could play in the manner that we do, because we honestly, when we're in possession, we have two defenders, and that's it. So it's pretty wild.
Yeah, and Romero's a great addition for like set pieces and stuff like that. He always manages to get his head on the ball. Now, is it at the goal?
Maybe.
But no, baby steps. He's getting there. He's making the connection. So the next step you would hope is to get the direction and the consistency. But he gets up there. He's very strong in the air.
No doubt.
Okay. Next is pick an attacker, a midfielder, and a defender. Who will have it says good. Did I switch it to just overall? We should be looking forward to tomorrow. Who should we be paying attention to?
Yeah. No, I love this question. I'm going to start at the back with the defenders, and I'm going to say Jed Spence, actually, which may be a name that doesn't register super high on this list, right? But Destiny Udogie, our first choice left back, has played minutes and minutes and minutes and is visibly just knackered. He's got to get a rest. Now, Jed Spence was not registered in the Europa League roster, and it was just a weird homegrown thing. Fraser Forster had to be there as the backup keeper, so Jed Spence was actually not used. He can't play on Thursdays. So he's been supplementing minutes in the Premier League quite a bit. And it's actually been, I think, an okay move for him because he played against United. He's played in big matches for us at left back. And because Udogie is knackered, I suspect Jed Spence, asterisk, he may have picked up a knock, but it sounds like he's going to be okay. So I think he probably starts at left back. And he's been really good in that inverted role and is probably the main reason we were able to walk out of Old Trafford with a 3-0 victory, which was a big win for us. Albeit we know everything around United right now is not great, but it was a good mental victory for us, and Jed Spence was a big piece of that. So I think he'll go tomorrow, and I think he'll put in a good shift. In the midfield, it's Dejan Kulusevski, without a doubt. He's been a revelation for us, and I think – obviously I'm biased, but I think if I look at one single player who's been able to make just a gravitational impact on his team, it's him. And I don't think we're 4-4-1 in the Premier League right now, which is obviously not good, but without him, we maybe have won 1 or 2 matches. So he's been phenomenal in the 10. And he said for a couple of seasons, I'm a 10. And they kind of had him out on the right flank as a right wing, and he got his chance. And just super technical with the ball at his feet in really tight spaces and knows what he's going to do before the ball gets to him. So he's been really good. And if we have any chance of getting a result tomorrow, he's going to have a big match. And then up top, I'm going to say Brennan Johnson. I think I kind of want to say Dom Solanke, but I think that's fairly obvious at this point. And I think Brennan Johnson, he did go on a heater of, I think, 5-5 or maybe six goals in 6 matches, all comps. But most of our goals are coming through him when we're scoring at will. So he's going to need to have a really good game tomorrow too. I think as much as we want to hold the ball, tomorrow is going to be about Wednesday is going to be about transitions for us, and Brendan Johnson's going to have to be on the end of those transitions for us to have any shot here. So I'd keep an eye on him.
Brendan's the punchable face. Something about he just always is just like every single time the camera comes to him, he just looks like he has an upset stomach. He just always looks like he has indigestion. That's
actually a great point. I've never been able to put my finger on it, but he does look like
he just always looks uncomfortable, and I'm like, what is wrong with your face? Why do you look like that?
That's hilarious.
You are a professional footballer. Fix your face. I don't know what you're doing.
Probably got the money. Yeah, he's been polarizing too this year because he had a couple of rough matches, and after the North London derby, deactivated his Instagram from some bullshit, which we all know is unfortunately a part of football these days. And credit to him though for focusing him on himself and putting all the haters and the noise to the side and going on that run. But if you ask Spurs fans, there's probably 25 to 30% of Spurs fans that are ready to be done with the guy, and the other half think he's fantastic. So that's probably just modern football too.
Yeah, that is his thing. He needs to become more consistent, and that's
I agree.
Players, but when you can see a player's high be high, and then they just when he's bad, it's actually like unbearable. It's like Nick Jackson,
real bad.
type of vibes.
Yeah.
It's like Mudryk at Chelsea vibes, where you
Yep.
see the glimpse and you're like, oh gosh, and then all of a sudden you're just like, what? Get this get him out of here. So
Good shout.
yeah, it's interesting. Kulishevsky, yes, he's super techie. He's not the fastest, so that's why when
No.
he's on the wing, he can do okay because he has so much space to like be techie around somebody. But in the end, it's the Premier League. Everybody's so fast, so strong. It's tough.
Yeah.
It was tough for him.
Exactly.
But in the middle of the ground where he can like choose where he can spray the ball and maybe even take a shot himself because he does have an eye for goal.
Yep.
Yeah, I can totally see him stirring up some trouble. Yeah, for sure.
No doubt.
And then yeah, Jed Spence. He's Tottenham. Y'all do have a bunch of just like young players that I'm like, oh, I see the vision.
I mean, we're super young, like, and that's where I say, like, us Spurs fans. I said it the other day today actually to some people that I think right now, if I'm in charge of Spurs, I say the league is for performance and development, and cup matches are for results right now, because we're super young. Yeah.
And Ange did say that, hey, in my second season, I always win a cup. And this is the chance, the best chance, obviously. I mean, even though there's still a lot of tough teams in the Carabao.
Totally.
But a bunch of them are playing each other. So that's what is helpful, I think, about it, is because they let me check. Yeah, like Newcastle and Chelsea are playing each other. We are playing each other. Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Liverpool. It's
a good one.
Yeah, those are all some fun matches. I mean, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be great. And I tweeted Saturday, Ortega and a bunch of kids. That's what I want. If Nunes can still run after playing 2.5 straight matches, I'm sure he can, because he's basically has rested months at a time. But other than that, I don't want to see nobody serious out there. I'm truly thinking maybe Ake, but he just came back, so I'm a little afraid.
Yeah.
He can come on, be subbed on. John Stones, he can be subbed on. Like, I think some of our starters, but I don't care. I don't care if I don't know half of the squad. And because he loaned out a lot of our young players that went to the US tour. I went to a couple of the stops, and the ones that impressed people the most all got loans. So the ones that are still here, like Josh Wilson Esbrand, which I haven't really seen or heard much of from him lately, even in photos of training. He's someone I would like to see, but for the most part, there are a lot of young players, and I don't even get my hope up about them anymore, because most of our academy kids, they end up being stars everywhere else. You're welcome, everybody.
Fair. Hey, but the rest of the footballing world appreciates Pep getting his hands on kids and letting them fly elsewhere. But yeah, we will certainly appreciate any youth you want to put out again on Wednesday. Like I said, we need all the help we can get. It's interesting. Obviously, this is a cool opportunity for us if somehow we can get past you guys, which again, I say just very heavily if that could happen. We find ourselves in the round of 16, and at that point, anything can happen. But I also think Spurs fans are probably a little bit more invested in Europa League. And when we look at the prospects of potentially winning a trophy this year, no City, no Liverpool, no Arsenal, no Aston Villa, who I consider to be a threat these days, right? And then, of course, none of the other big teams across Europe, and nobody drops down from the Champions League. And so I think the bookies have us dead on favorites to win that competition. And so I think if Spurs fans were to be asked, is the League Cup or the Europa League more attainable, I think it's probably the latter in Europa League. But tomorrow's or Wednesday rather, is a big piece of that too. So
just y'all and Lazio, basically.
Yeah. I think maybe Roma is in there, but they're having a tough season. Man United, but not concerned about them anymore. Galatasaray, I think, is a decent team that's in there. But yeah, we should go and win it if we really want to call ourselves a serious team.
Yeah, that's and that's a whole other competition that has nothing to do with us. So I'm rooting.
Yeah,
I'm
appreciate you. Appreciate it.
I did like it's just like there's no way y'all get in our way in this. So yeah, get as far as you need to. In fact, get so far in it that in another match that we have to play later in the season, and you kind of have to make decisions on players, and you kind of just give us the win, and then all the Arsenal fans lose their minds because they're just like, "Oh, Tottenham bending over for City, it's rigged, it's rigged."
That was so funny last year. That was just nuts. Hey, I'll tell you what. I'll trade you right now Wednesday for 3 points. I'll give you all 6 points in the league if you guys give us Wednesday. I don't even care.
My people will get a hold of your people, and then
Let's
I'll
go.
Papers.
Send me a DM.
Cool. Oh man. Okay, let's. So I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I am expecting tons of kids, so I'm not going to give a starting 11 prediction because because again, I don't want to see anybody. I want to learn about even more names, and feel like I'm pretty good on at least the EDS players that we're supposed to know. We all know Nico O'Reilly, Maka, all those the young players, but I'm excited to see what kids Pep drags up. Like, does he call Kevin Sullivan and he's like, "Get your ass over here, come from America."
Let's go.
Who cares about Philadelphia Union or wherever you're at? Get over here, play some Tottenham. but
I would love that. Get Calvin over here.
Right. But on Tottenham's end, because like you said, you aim to win. The players that you said that you expect us to see tomorrow, those were some pretty big names. So I'm expecting a pretty decent starting 11 from you.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm going to go Vicario and Ned. I don't think we can afford to not have him in, especially because penalties are somewhat of a factor here. There's a potential to go to them. Say that again.
Who's your backup?
Oh, Fraser Forster. And he's been okay. He actually played really well last Thursday in the Europa League, but we saw him in a penalty shootout last year against Fulham that actually knocked us out of the Carabao Cup, and just very much not interested in seeing that again. No, Vicario's got to go, and we've actually never seen Vicario in PKs yet, so that'd be interesting. Again, I'm thinking PKs because I think that's the best chance we have of actually getting a result is just dragging it through to PKs, and it's a coin flip at that point, right? So yeah, anyways, Vicario's got to be in net. I'm going to go really strong here. I'm going to say Archie Gray starts at right back. Going to be a bit of a risk, but Pedro Porro could use a rest. I think you got to go with Romero and Van de Ven in the center of the park. I don't think that we have the luxury of not starting our preferred center back pairing. I think Bentancur starts in the 6. Basuma played at the weekend. I expect Popsar to start as well. He came on as a substitute against Palace, so he'll be super fresh. And then I think Kulusevski has to play. I just think if we're a serious team and we really want to win on Wednesday, Kulusevski's got to be on the pitch. Then up top, I expect Son to start. I think Son was ready to go, it sounds like, at the weekend, but didn't feature at all. And we just, as fans, anticipate that was because he was being rested for this one on Wednesday. So I think Son starts. I think that we would prefer Solanke to start, but I'm going to say Richarlison is going to get the nod, which is going to be a bit of a dicey call. And then on the right wing, it's Brendan Johnson all day. Like I said, he's going to have to be on the end of our transitions for us to have a shot here. So, yeah, I'm going to throw an asterisk over Richarlison. The more I think about it, I won't be surprised if Solanke gets to go either, just because of the magnitude of this match. But when it comes to minutes and freshness, Richarlison may get the nod as well.
I just don't like. Again, I know we're going to put academy kids, and I still believe in my squad. But if Son starts, he always scores a banger against us. And
He does. He does.
he always scores a hell of a goal. And especially if we are having a rotation that I am anticipating, yeah, I think he might eat. He could have some fun. He could have some fun, which
Yeah, we're hoping so.
you know, Pep being able to take this loss and flip it into a real loss and being like, you guys are losers now. Don't want this feeling. And next thing that's what he's gonna do. It's great. This is a way we can have a loss in a Carabao Cup. I just want our team to show up and show out. I would much rather just lose in full time. I don't want to lose in penalties. Like, just kill us early. Don't kill.
Hey, you got me feeling better than I did about this match, actually.
Happy to help.
Like you're saying there's a chance here. Okay.
Honestly, yeah. I just even with all my show bros, when I talked to Sharpie on Saturday and we were looking for this match, and even last week when we were looking ahead, and Tarek yesterday, yeah, we're all just like, just play whoever we have to play. I think this is one of the topics that I feel like the majority of even City Twitter agree on, which is really tough to get us to like be a majority on any. It's really to get anybody on Twitter to majority agree on anything. So
yeah,
it's something that we're all just like, play whoever. We don't care. We don't like. There are players that we don't want. I would like to see if Kevin's healthy, sure, because he's hasn't been playing. That would be fun. But they're
not.
Yeah, right. Yeah. If there's any player who can come in and just take 10 seconds to just fuck up a game plan, it's definitely Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, you've got me maybe believing a little bit more than I did. I'm always going to back my squad, right? We have to have blind faith at times as Spurs fans, but we'll see.
Yes. Hey, and it sounds awful as a City fan, but I mean that's even what we do. Last year, after the treble, our whole thing was just it's vibes. There were no the expectation obviously is to win, but I wasn't going to let things upset me. The things that I was going to let upset me is if they were playing without passion, if they were playing without conviction. Those were the things that were going to get me mad. But if they lost, it is what it is. And losing to Real Madrid, playing the way that they had to play, filling out permits to close their stadium so it could be louder, just like the Etihad that is open, by the way. And so it's just like, I don't know. There were a lot of moral victories, and I don't know, in this world that people hate taking moral victories, I feel like sometimes it's good to take moral victories.
100%. That's part of the growth too. I think we're all about stacking up those moral victories at Spurs right now. So no doubt about it, man.
Yeah, it's all about mentality. I do think y'all are in the way, and if y'all become the team in London, then that gets Arsenal out of the way, and that makes us happy.
Deal.
Way up the red cartel is one of those things. Since we've started, I've always tried to preach to everybody that we just need to embrace that we are the sky blue evil empire. Right? People just imagine us. We're sky blue Darth Vader, just choking the Premier League and the Champions League out by force. And that's okay. We don't want to see ourselves like that. We don't like to see ourselves like that. We don't see ourselves like that, but it is what it is. And so if you just embrace it, have a little fun, be that guy, talk a little smack. And slowly but surely we're seeing people do that, but it's not them. We're doing it because our we're being backed into the corner. So now there are a lot of really sweet people in the Man City, especially over in Manchester, that they're starting to talk their stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. This is great. I love this. Come to my side. Excellent.
Hey, you know what? There's probably a couple of teams in the league who will never have that like just absolute disdain for City that some do. And I think Spurs and Everton are the two that come to mind, because we're always going to have that one across the way that is always going to be our main
your main focus. Yes.
Yeah, like that's our vitriol. We don't have the energy to like throw hate at you guys too. Honestly, and you guys just keep doing us favors and making sure Arsenal doesn't win the title, and we'll just continue to negotiate. Just maybe down the line, give us a trophy here and there, right? But just keep Arsenal off the top, and we'll appreciate you.
We will do what we can, sir. Okay, well, let's get you out of here with this. How do you see the match going? Have I instilled enough courage in you for you to say Tottenham will win?
So my prediction from the jump was 2-2 and Spurs win on penalties. My wife's a massive Spurs fan, bigger than I'll ever be, and I told her what I was going to give for a prediction, and she's like, "Dude, don't be one of those like happy clapping podcasters that just always says your team's going to win. Like, we're going to get smoked." But I came in saying 2-2 on pens, and I'm gonna say the same thing. You've just given me you've helped me go from like this is totally with my heart to like maybe my head a little bit, but I'm also just not trying to put that bad energy in the air and say we lose. So I'm going to go 2-2 Spurs win on penalties. And if you want to do me a favor and play the kids, then, maybe it actually happens.
I got you. Like I said, I have put in multiple petitions and work orders to hopefully make sure the right arrangements happen and mostly kids are played. I'm expecting 7, 8 out of 11 will be like 22 or younger. That's if I get my way, I will be happy. That's what I'm expecting.
Deal.
All right, cool. And yeah, I would much rather lose 2-1, especially on the road to Tottenham. We have broken the curse, so if we lose, this Carabao Cup loss does not count towards the curse. Worst case, I'm just gonna say it's old habits die hard. It's hard to kick it sometimes. Sometimes you fall back to that old work, and then sometimes you just who you are, and you lose that Tottenham.
Let's go. But you guys did get your goal at the Spurs Stadium last year, so that's all over, right? But
yes, and that was the real curse. Like we won, and then we won with like a real goals and scoring and like celebrations. It's good. Things are good. That was actually like a real victory for me. Was that curse? I think we have broken the curse. I don't know if City Dome feels like they've broken the curse. All right. Well, please plug yourself. Plug where people can find you and the things that you do.
Yeah, no doubt. At Scott G. Bird, find me on Twitter, Instagram. A lot of Spurs content, a lot of reggae music, a lot of religious stuff. I praise Jah, praise Haile Selassie, I praise Jesus. You're going to see a lot of that stuff if you're interested. And then Tottenham Depot, that's my crew. Definitely check us out if you're interested in getting a fairly level-headed Spurs take on a week-to-week basis. We do a little midweek show too, where we just kind of look ahead to the following match, and we do some other little things too. But an episode every Sunday where most of the time we're talking about what a shit show we were in our previous match, but always good stuff. So appreciate anybody who wants to tune in for sure.
Yeah, man, good people, fun show. You'll have some chuckles. I have fully embraced listening to all the enemies, and like it's actually I just call everybody obviously enemies, but I mean again as nice as I call people weirdos and stuff like that, but it's a term of endearment in this moment. I listen to you got to know what's going on over there, and
No doubt.
I'm paying attention to City, so it's like. Unless it's other like very specific things and people I listen to, y'all know who I listen to because I talk to you. So I'm not saying your names. I'm not giving anybody any shouts.
Well, and like I said before we hopped on, man, I love the work you guys are doing over there. Just like I said, super consistent, just good, solid content. So yeah, it's giving me a good peek into the world of City, right? And always nice to to get to see, the viewpoints of other clubs, especially like you said, in this world where we're just like super hyper focused on our clubs and everything that we're force fed all day long, right? It's nice to get a breather and check elsewhere. So yeah, keep it up, man. I love your stuff.
Appreciate it. And you too. Well, Shady Gang, we will be back Thursday for our lit stream. We got a most dope show. 3 guests. We can bring on one at a time. Think late night talk show, but it's footy based. Grab your snacks, grab you a drink, and relax. We got Christelle coming through, a Man City fan, and then I don't know how I booked it. Back-to-back Gooners. We got Paulina. She is one half of our Shades of Blue network, our Arsenal podcast, Arsenal 86. And she's also a really dope DJ. So, like, shout out to her. And then last is Ken Kimber. He is a Chop Soccer podcast. Shout out Chicago. I kicked it with him when I watched Man City Arsenal in Chicago for the Premier League event that they did. I was this close to Rebecca Lowe. I was this close. So yeah, no, that was a fun experience. So shout out to them. We will see y'all Thursday. And I believe Friday, I'm still deciding. I might be doing a watch along for City Women versus Tottenham. You'll find out. I'll tweet about it. Maybe we'll see. Shady Gang. And then Saturday, a kickoff show for the match against, I don't know, honestly, one match at a time, my guys. One match. I could grab my notebook right there and flip to the page and it'd tell me, and I could act like I knew what was going on. But I'm gonna be transparent with you guys. I'm tapped out. Rodri won the Ballon d'Or. Like, who cares who we're playing on Saturday? Really? Like, that's not a focus right now. Right now, it's Rodri. Let's go, baby. Woo! All right. We'll get out of here. I won't hold Scott anymore. See you, Shady Gang. You know the vibes. Shady Gang, Shady Gang, Shady Gang.